Good afternoon, respected principal ma'am, esteemed teachers, and my fellow friends. I am Snehitha from grade 10B, and today I would like to share a thought that is very closely connected to our lives as students. First, imagine this: two students walk out of an examination hall. One says, I think I did really well. The other says, I don't think I did well at all. A few days later, their results arrive. One gets 95 and the other gets 65. And immediately, without knowing anything else about them, we may think the first student must be more intelligent. But are we really sure? What if the student who scored 65 is an excellent problem solver? And what if the student can create amazing ideas, lead a team, or communicate beautifully, or solve a real life problem that has no answer in textbook? And what if the student who scored 95 has completely different strength? So, if one number does not tell whole the story about a student, then what exactly can it tell about intelligence? That brings me to the question I want to explore today. Are marks a true measure of intelligence? As students, marks are a huge part of our life. We study for them, we prepare for them, we wait for them, we celebrate them, and even we compare ourselves with the student sitting next to us. One examination can make feel us extremely confident, and another can make question ourselves. But here is something we often forget. An examination measures our performance on a particular day, but it doesn't mention our entire potential. Imagine a student who knows subject very well, but when the examination begins, fear and pressure make her difficult to express what she actually knows. And imagine another student who remembers concept well and performs excellently in written examination. And imagine third student who may not score the highest but can come up with creative solutions, can explain idea brilliantly, and lead a team or solve a practical problem in a completely different way. So here, who is intelligent? Maybe all three, because intelligence does not come only in one form. But we often recognize academic intelligence, the ability to understand subjects, remembering concepts, and answer examination questions. But intelligence also can be seen in creativity, in problem solving, in communication, in leadership, and in curiosity, the courage to look at an ordinary problem and ask an extraordinary question that nobody else of. Because sometimes intelligence is not simply knowing the answer. Sometimes intelligence is having the courage to question the question. These abilities may not always appear on a report card, but they can make a tremendous difference in real life. We can see people like Srinivasa Ramanujan, whose mathematical thinking went far beyond what one simple number could describe. And think about Steve Jobs. His influence bring from together technology, science, design, and communication, looking at a problem in a completely different perspective. These examples do not mean that marks don't matter. They do matter. Marks show our academic performance. They reflect our preparation, understanding, and hard work. They can motivate us to learn and help us to move towards our educational goals. A high mark is an achievement, and we should absolutely be proud of the genuine hard work behind it. So, I'm not standing here to say stop caring about marks. Care about marks, but don't let marks choose your worth, because there is a huge difference between saying I scored 60 marks and I'm a 60 mark student. The first one is a result, and the second one is a label. The result tells us about our performance, and a label tries to define us. And we should never allow one examination to become our identity. A low mark can be a feedback, not a final verdict. A high mark can be an achievement, not a reason to stop learning. And this is what education should really teach us. Not just how to get answer, but how to think. Because the world outside our classroom will not always give a question paper and ready-made answers. Life simply gives a problem and says now figure it out. And that is where our knowledge needs something more. It needs curiosity, it needs courage, it needs creativity, it needs problem solving. And that is where intelligence become more than just a score. Absolutely, we should do hard work for our marks. And of course, We should respect our examination and we should proud of our academic achievements. But while chasing for marks, we also develop some abilities that helps us use what we have learned. Because knowing the answer is valuable, but knowing how to use the knowledge in this era is valuable too. So, are marks a true measure of intelligence? My answer is no, not completely. They measure a part of our academic performance, but they cannot measure our entire potential. They cannot measure every idea we will have, every problem we will solve, and every person we inspire, and every difference we may make in this world. And maybe one day, when we look back at our report card, we may find many of those numbers. But we may also remember the confidence we built, the questions we asked, the ideas we created, and the person we became. So let us aim high, let us work hard, let us chase excellent marks, and let us also chase curiosity, creativity, and understanding. Because a mark sheet can record our performance, but it cannot record every possibility within us. And that is perhaps that is the real beauty of intelligence. It is not only knowing about how to know right answers, but it is about having the courage, but it is about having the courage to think